I never used to wake up at night. I was a deep sleeper, the kind of person who sleeps right through their alarm. But now everything's different. Every single night, I wake up at exactly 2:22 a.m. Not 2:21, not to 23. Always to 22. And it always starts the same way. The first time it happened, I was sure it was just a dream. 3 soft knocks. Knock. Knock. They weren't loud or aggressive. Almost polite, like someone paying a late-night visit. I opened my eyes, and my room was pitch black except for the glowing red numbers on my bedside clock. 2:22 a.m. I listened, holding my breath. Maybe it was a neighbor. Maybe the old building's pipes were just acting up. Then it came again. Knock, knock. This time it was clearer. Definitely coming from my front door. I live alone in a small apartment on the 3rd floor. It's a quiet building. Nobody visits at this hour. I decided to just stay in bed and ignore it, eventually drifting back to sleep. The next morning, I checked the door. Nothing. No note. No sign anyone had been there at all, so I just forgot about it. That was a big mistake. The very next night, at 2:22 a.m., my eyes snapped open, even before the sound came. It was like my body already knew what was coming. And then, there it was. Knock. 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 3 slow, perfectly measured knocks. I sat up in bed, my heart already pounding in my chest. Who on earth knocks like that in the middle of the night? I crept silently to the door, my feet cold on the floorboards. I didn't dare open it. I just peered through the peephole. The hallway was completely empty. Silent. Still, I got a sudden burst of courage and quickly unlocked and opened the door. No one. No footsteps hurrying away. No sound of the elevator. Nothing. That's when a deep, cold unease started to settle in my stomach. I tried to be logical. It had to be the building. Old pipes, a neighbor getting home late, maybe even a prank. So, on the 3rd night, I decided to record it. My phone was ready on my nightstand. At 2:22 a.m., the knocks came, right on schedule. I grabbed my phone and hit record. The sound was so clear on the recording. 3 distinct knocks from my front door. But when I played the audio back the next morning, there was nothing. Just the low hum of the refrigerator. The timestamp was correct. 2:22 a.m. But the recording was silent. That's when logic stopped being any help at all. It didn't skip a night, not once. Every single night, like clockwork, 2:22 a.m. would arrive, and with it, those 3 knocks. Always the same pattern. Never more, never less. My sleep schedule was destroyed. I started leaving the TV on, leaving lights on all over the apartment. Anything to break the suffocating silence. It didn't work. One night, out of sheer frustration and exhaustion, I shouted, "Who is it?" The knocking stopped instantly, mid-pattern. An unnerving silence filled the hallway. I immediately regretted yelling. It felt like I had broken some unspoken rule. A week later, I saw my elderly neighbor, Mrs. Gable, in the hallway. I casually mentioned the strange nightly knocking. The color drained from her face. She looked scared. She leaned in a little and asked, "It's 3 knocks. right? He just nodded, my throat suddenly dry. She went quiet for a long moment, then said, "The last tenant." He heard it too. My stomach tightened into a knot. I had to know more. "What happened to him?" I asked. She hesitated, looking over her shoulder as if someone might be listening. Then she whispered, "He moved out. Suddenly. Left most of his things behind." I asked her why. "Sehus said." He opened the door. I let out a nervous laugh. "What happened when he opened it?" She just shook her head, her eyes wide. "I don't talk about that." And with that, she hurried away down the hall, leaving me standing there, more confused and terrified than ever. My curiosity was now a raging fire. I went online and started digging into the building's history. It took a while, but I found an old local news article from about 10 years ago. A man had died in this building. He lived alone. The article mentioned that he had complained to neighbors about someone knocking on his door every night. They all thought he was just being paranoid. But then I saw a comment left under the article, years after it was published. It said he believed something visited at the same time every night. My hands felt icy cold. The article didn't mention a time, but I knew it had to be 2:22 a.m. I couldn't stay there another night. I had to know if it was the apartment or if it was me. I called a friend and asked if I could crash on his couch. He said sure. That night, I was miles away from my apartment, wrapped in a blanket on my friend's sofa. I thought I would finally get some rest. But then, I woke up. The room was dark. I looked at my phone, 2:22 a.m., and then I heard it. Knock. 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 It was coming from my friend's front door. I shot up, my heart hammering against my ribs. My friend stayed fast asleep. I tiptoed to his door and checked the peephole. Nothing. No one there. That's when the horrifying truth hit me. It wasn't the apartment. It was following me. A few nights later, I was back in my own bed, waiting. The knocks came, as they always did. But this time after the third knock faded, I heard something new. A whisper. It was soft, coming from the other side of the door. "Let me in." I froze, every muscle in my body tensing. The voice didn't sound evil or monstrous. It sounded normal, just tired, like someone who's been out in the cold for too long. The whisper came again. "Please, I'm lost." My hand trembled as it moved towards the doorknob. I almost unlocked it. Almost, but some primal instinct screamed at me that this was wrong. So, I took a step back. The whispering stopped and was replaced by the sound of slow, heavy breathing right on the other side of the door. And then, silence. The next night, I set up a defense. I propped my phone up on a bookshelf, the camera aimed directly at the front door. I hit record and left it running all night. The next morning, my hands were shaking as I scrolled through the footage. I fast-forwarded to 2:22 a.m. The door handle began to turn, slowly jiggling back and forth, like someone was testing it from the outside. But I live alone, and the deadbolt was locked from the inside. Then, I saw it. 3 dents appeared on the wooden door, one by one. Bam, bam, bam. They looked like they were being hammered in from the inside of the wood itself. Invisible knocks, leaving physical proof. My blood ran cold. That night, I had a dream. I was standing at my own front door, but I was on the outside, in the hallway. I felt a strange compulsion to knock. So I did. The door opened, and I saw myself standing there in the doorway. But this version of me was pale. His eyes were dark, hollow pits, and his face was completely empty of any emotion. My dream self looked at me and said, "Thank you for opening 10. You woke up, my eyes shot open. The room was dark. The clock on my nightstand glowed with those terrible red numbers. 2:22 a.m. And the knocking had just begun.